From the forgiven, that's what.
Huh?
That's what they want. The
Um,
problem is.
let's wait
You
until,
have a problem, that's the problem.
but yeah. I want to,
When you-
but okay, then let's do it then. Okay, yeah, do it. Yeah, just go ahead. Yeah.
There's nothing.
If you think it's good. Exactly.
Pray for me.
Hey, go for it. I've had a long day with my elderly father. Come on up.
Okay.
Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cecily, roll call, please.
Counselor Gorley,
Here.
Counselor Richards,
Here.
Counselor Sanchez,
Here.
Counselor Thorstad,
Here.
Counselor Trask,
Here.
President Pro Tem Mueller,
Here.
Mayor Coleman.
Present. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remind ourselves why we're here tonight. We're here for our community. All of us, if you're here, that means you care about the community. So I just want to say thank you. But before we get started, we're just going to take a moment of silence. Okay, as I said, I'm glad you are all here tonight, as that shows your concern and care for the community. I do have something on the agenda that's called citizen recognition, so we're going to start with that before public comment. So, staff report. Yeah.
Am I on now? I am. Madam Mayor, Council, I have a citizen recognition tonight, and I would like to call Gavin Donner up to the front, and maybe his mother can come with him. So the reason I wanted to recognize Gavin this evening is it was a few months ago, just at the beginning of summer, that I received an email from Sergeant Jeff Hanlon regarding Gavin. You're fine. You can stand by me. That's all right. You can stand by me. Yes. So I got an email from Sergeant Hamlin saying that he was doing some park patrols. So our officers regularly patrol through Sankey Park and Northside and all the parks in town. And he spotted Gavin really working hard, picking up trash at Sankey Park. And he was so impressed with your hard work without even being asked to do anything that he sent me an email and thought you should be recognized in front of City Council. And so that is what that's why I've asked you to come here tonight. I want to read this letter for you. So I have a letter that I'm going to give to you. And then I have a few gifts that I'm going to give to you as well in thanks and appreciation on behalf of the city. We are so thankful for you. So, dear Gavin, on behalf of the City of Sweet Home and the Sweet Home Police Department, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you and for your outstanding contribution to our community. During a recent patrol at Sankey Park, you were observed selflessly picking up a large amount of loose trash around Weddell Bridge. Your actions not only reflect a deep care for our public spaces, but also serve as a powerful example of community spirit and civic responsibility. Your dedication to keeping our parks clean does not go unnoticed, and we are truly inspired by your commitment to making Sweet Home a better place for everyone. As a token of our appreciation, I'm honored to present you with this letter, along with a challenge coin from both the Sweet Home Police Department and the City of Sweet Home, along with some other swag that we have in the bag for you. The coins are a symbol of our deep respect and gratitude for your efforts. We hope that it serves as a reminder of the positive impact you have on our community and the important role you play in keeping Sweet Home a place that we all can be proud of. Thank you, Gavin, for being a true friend to law enforcement and for your unwavering dedication to our city. With warm regards, Jason Ogden, Chief of Police, City Manager Pro Tem. That's good. So Gavin, here's the bag with your swag. And again, let me shake your hand because I'm so honored to meet you and honor you. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Gavin. What a great example you are to our community. We just really appreciate citizens like you. Thank you. So moving on to public comments, we have a number of people that would like to speak this evening. So we do have a 3-minute timer. You're going to need to come to this table, sit in the chair as I call your name. Then you'll give your name and your address for the record and share while you're here, share why you are here. So first up is Brandy Wysong Frick. Please come forward to the table. State your name and address for the record. Yes, this one right here. Sit, please. Oh, wait, I think that it's not on. Sorry, my apologies. You are the first one.
Technically.
Let's try again.
My name is Brandy Wysong Frick. I reside at 4680 Long Street in Sweet Home, Oregon. And I am here, well, I'll read my letter. I would like to thank the city council members for the time and energy they give to our town. It's a huge responsibility and commitment with no compensation. I'm here to speak about the stop signs at 47th and Long Street. I fully believe the intent behind the stop sign placement was to make a safer environment in our town. Unfortunately, the opposite has happened in our neighborhood. We went from being a fairly quiet neighborhood with an annoying problem of occasional excessive speeders to a neighborhood with occasional excessive speeders and excessive noise from accelerating vehicles, congestion, people purposely blasting through the stop signs, people not seeing the stop signs and running them, people yelling at us while we're in our yard about our effing stop signs, along with too many almost accidents because people think the other vehicle is going to stop and it doesn't. The police have been patrolling, but as soon as the officer leaves, it goes right back to people not stopping. We went from a neighborhood with really very minimal issues to one filled with more issues than we can imagine. There are 4 residential driveways that have been put in a dangerous situation due to the stop signs. From our driveway, if we want to go east and we are in our truck, we do not have enough room to get out of our driveway, stop at the sign, and be in the eastbound lane. We partially block the westbound lane. And with traffic backup and oncoming traffic spacing, we have resorted to driving across our yard several times to enter and exit our home. I've observed my neighbors across the street not being able to pull in and out of their driveway because of the traffic backup. I have noticed that they now drive through their yard to their back field and go out their gate on 47th to then come around and turn onto Long Street. They should not have to drive through their yard to safely enter and exit their home. The one that got it the worst is my neighbor Catherine, who cannot get out of her driveway and go west towards town because she cannot stop at the stop sign without her car blocking the eastbound lane. She's now in a position to leave her driveway. If she wants to leave her driveway and stop at the stop sign, part of her vehicle is in the lane of travel with oncoming vehicles, and there's nothing she can do about it. We were prepared to deal with some problems, but we had no idea it was going to be this bad. I understand your original vote was in good faith with good intentions, but the outcome has not been what you anticipated. It has been the complete opposite. Our neighborhood is here telling you the stop signs placed at 47th and Long are creating an unsafe environment. We need you to listen. We need this problem resolved now. We need our neighborhood to be a safe place again. We are not going to back down. We are prepared to take the next steps of getting the news involved, our state reps, and ODOT if our city council leaves us in this dangerous situation with nowhere to turn. We should not have to go to those extremes, but we will, because the neighborhood we all loved has been taken away from us, and we will not stop until we get it back.
Thank you for sharing, Brandy.
Thank you.
I also just want to clarify with anybody that's new to the city council meetings, public comment is for people to come and speak, like Brandy just said, which is great, but it's not for us to give feedback at this time because we need to have a consensus if we want to add anything to the agenda so that other people can come and hear. So just as a fair warning, this is a time for us to hear from you and to listen well, okay? So thank you for sharing, Brandy. The next person who is on the list is Chelsea Augsburger. There you are. Please come forward. State your name and your address for the record, please.
Chelsea Augsburger, 1051 First Avenue, Sweet Home. I am here tonight to request council action for removal of the stop sign at 47th and Long. The stop sign at 47th and Long is quite frankly illogical and unsafe. We have been told the sign on 47th and Long is to control speeding. The purpose of a stop sign is to assign right of way at an intersection, not to control speed. With Long Street, a private driveway, and a very narrow, seldom traveled street, there's really no need to assign right of way. The placement of one or more stop signs to slow traffic often has the opposite effect, which it has. The sign is simply confusing to drivers. Confused drivers are almost as dangerous as distracted ones. Random, illogically placed signs are confusing. Some drivers run it, others abruptly stop last minute because they're not expecting a stop sign in the middle of Long Street. Both potentially could cause accidents. Long Street runs east to west. There's a private driveway to the north and a very narrow, very seldom traveled residential street, 47th, to the south. It's confusing for drivers to stop in the middle of Long Street randomly at 47th. I've been told that city engineers went out to the locations. I'd like to formally request the information that led the city engineers to select that location. I see tonight you guys are discussing the shutdown of First Avenue and you'll be seeking community input to gauge satisfaction. I know that every single counselor received a letter of signatures from numerous 47th and Long Street residents, and they were not in favor of this unsafe and illogically placed stop sign. You are all elected council members to represent the people. Why was the community input not considered? Mayor Coleman, you said at the last meeting the public had 5 opportunities for input. But that being said, how are folks supposed to give input if they're not notified? First Avenue is a temporary shutdown, allowing time for input, while this sign was decided and installed without taking into consideration input that was given as soon as residents became aware. Kelsey Young noted in the Traffic Safety Committee meeting in April, I think it was April, that these signs are the cheapest fix at $50 a piece. She noted they're not ideal, but they're the cheapest, and I quote, "We can always take them out if it ends up being a problem as well," end quote. I ask you make that decision tonight. She noted that stop signs on one side of the airport property warrant signs on the other. To my knowledge, parallel roads do not need parallel signage. She talked about traffic studies, none of which were done for when the airport area is further developed. This sign is within an area of older, established homes from before the east side of town was annexed into the city. This sign is not within a new area of homes. I am fully aware that you all get to decide what traffic control devices are used within the city if a state highway is not impacted, but this one is really illogical and unsafe. And I'm quite frankly disappointed that council would move in a direction against what the local citizens want that would make their portion of town less safe.
Thank you, Chelsea.
The neighbors in the area are taxpayers expecting equal representation, and you're supposed to represent them too. They want a safe place to live and raise their families, and your actions unfortunately have done the opposite. Again, I'm requesting council action tonight for the removal of the stop sign at 47th and Long.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Next up, Dave Hawley. Sure,
And I'll take that spot.
I can do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. just taking them as they came in. So the next one that came in after that was Don Miller.
My name is Dawn Miller, 331 8th Avenue, Sweet Home. I come to you tonight with actually it's a question. I see that we're going to appoint a city attorney, that being one Blair Larson. My concern is, I'm not aware that Blair Larson is an attorney. And if in fact he is, how long? I just think that we're heading down a road here that is supposed to be covered with law, and a person well-versed in the law to represent our city legally. So I'm here to say I don't approve of the appointment. I think there needs to be more discussion on it, and I think more citizens of the city need to be brought into this. I don't think this is something that should just be rammed through because we have a city manager that's retiring. I mean, a city attorney that's retiring. And that's my concern. I want on record that I don't agree with the appointment of a non-licensed attorney being our city attorney.
Thank you for sharing, Don. The next one that signed up is Jeff Parker.
Never gotten to sit in this seat. My name is Jeff Parker, 1300 First Avenue. I'm just here to speak in favor of the First Avenue modifications, whether temporary or permanent. This has been an ongoing issue. We regularly have many delivery vehicles cutting through that space. Just Monday, Ram Steel semi-truck was down that street. Several dump trucks today, paving companies, concrete companies. Unfortunately, a lot of them are just using Google and it's sending them right down the street as the shortest means to get to 228. I look forward to kind of seeing what the council has as far as possible options. I know that 15 years ago, we've lived on First Avenue at both ends for over 20 years. And 15 years ago, I came to the city engineer and offered to pay for the speed humps and things like that on First Avenue and the signage. At that time, I was refused. They said they didn't need it. I think it was because too many people on the council used it as a shortcut. So we get a lot of people speeding down that street. I'm hoping that either this or speed humps or some kind of mediation or modification to the street to help slow this stuff down would be great. And it's always trouble at the bottom end next to ODOT where people are trying to do the transition from First Avenue to Pleasant Valley, especially during commuter times, morning and evening. I think the technical term is the jiggle jaggle to get from one to the other. So I'd like to see if that could be kind of shut down for a little while and just to see where it goes, temporary or permanent. So
Thank you, Jeff.
that's me.
Next one who signed up to make a public comment, Brad and Lisa Kesey. Either one going to come forward? No? Okay. Next is John Jackson.
Yes, my name is John Jackson. I live on 1335 First Avenue, and I'm here obviously to talk about the traffic issue. I purchased my home on First Avenue, and the very day I moved in, I realized that I made a mistake because of the traffic. That was 5 years ago. Traffic has gone from bad to ridiculous now. So it can be a challenge just to get out of your driveway without even getting hit. People's cars are getting hit on the sides of the road. We even had one person, their cars got hit in their driveway. So I'm asking the council to consider shutting this road down temporarily. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Lambert, did I get that correct? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Rob Lambert, 4615 Long Street. I was kind of against these stop signs down on 47th and Long in the beginning, more so now. We did have a little bit of a speeding problem, your occasional speeders that go by there. Now it looks like there's more for some reason. I don't know why, but a lot of them do race off of that stop sign and come down the street. So between 47th and 43rd, it's like anyone's game. Come down to my driveway on Long, I'm just a few houses down from the stop sign. And it's kind of difficult to tell. I've experienced both. Cars that have stopped. At that far away, it's hard to tell if they've stopped or if they're still coming through. And it's kind of difficult to judge what their speed is. So it makes me really leery to even back out unless there's nobody out there at all. And the noise is a lot worse. I had taken a walk down that way the other day, and I was standing right kind of by that intersection, and cars were just waving and blowing right by me. So I'm glad I didn't try to cross the street expecting people. When you see signs and stuff like that, you kind of expect people are going to stop. And, but that's a pretty dangerous way of thinking because they're not. And so that's kind of my perception of it is we started off with a little bit of a problem. Now we have a few more problems because of it. So I personally don't see the reason for those stop signs that close to that curve that goes on to 49th. I mean, it's like you come around the curve, you got to stop. And then from 47th to 43rd, there's nothing. My tiller will not dig a big enough trench across Long Street to stop them. So, but that's kind of what I had to say about it.
Okay, thank you for coming. Mr. Hawley, you're the last one now on the list.
All my life, I've tried to be first, and now. I hope I can be as brief as you would like. At a couple of things, when I got out of the stuff with the city, I was 80 years old. That was 5 years ago, and I haven't gotten involved very much since then. But the last couple of months, there's been a few things that have come up that I would like to comment on briefly if I can. Family housing is number one. And I agree, it's something that should be done. It's necessary, and the grant is immense in that regard. But there's a couple of things I think you need to consider, and you may have discussed this already. I think you need to identify what temporary is, but whatever kind of limit you want to on it, 6 months, a year, whatever. Most people will abide by the rules, but there's going to be the exception. And you're also going to have associated costs with it when they leave, the cleanup, the remodeling or the repainting or whatever. Hopefully grant money will be available for that, but I wouldn't count on it because there's lots of competition for that money. You need to decide also, do they come in ready to pay the utilities, et cetera, or is the city going to pick that up for the first 3 months or whatever? Again, it's a good thing, but it needs to be examined a little closer. There's some good people going to be overseeing it, And I think that will help a lot. The second thing is city manager. And I'm not sure that I should get into that because I cannot abide to your 3-minute rule. So maybe I'll come back to your next meeting for that.
Yeah, feel free to do so.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Moving on to the first item on our agenda is request for council action, First Avenue. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm bringing to you tonight a request for council action regarding First Avenue. First Avenue has, it's long been an area that has been identified as a traffic concern. The PD for years have received complaints. Mr. Parker came up here and stated that they've been dealing, with that particular avenue for the last 15 to 20 years. And the main things that are the concerns are the speed, the commercial motor vehicle use, as well as the number and volume of traffic on that street at that location between Highway 20 and Highway 228. The reason we're bringing it back tonight is it was brought, a motion was made at a traffic safety committee meeting in the spring to bring it to council. We brought it to council and council had requested that staff bring back some options. And so that's why we're here tonight discussing the issue. One of the significant contributing factors to this issue, obviously, is that First Avenue is a residential area and it is bookended by two major highways. You've got Highway 228 and Highway 20. So it funnels a lot of traffic through that location. Back in April, we did some traffic counts just to kind of give you an idea of how much traffic actually flows on that road. April 11th through the 17th, the daily traffic volume there was between 1477 and 1984 vehicles per day. The peak hour often exceeded 80 vehicles per hour. And then April 18th through 25th, we did it again. Total weekly traffic ended up being 12,748 vehicles with a daily traffic volume of 1551 and 1930 vehicles per day. So, I mean, quite a bit of vehicles on First Avenue. Another concern that, as I was investigating this, is that residential street is from curb to curb 30 feet. And it seems narrow to me, so I did another measurement of a residence here in Sweet Home, which is a residential neighborhood on Foothills Drive. And from curb to curb there, it is 45 feet. So a significant difference between both residential streets. As I was preparing this, I wanted to see if we had any traffic crash data that I could provide to council. You can see in the RCA that I pulled traffic stats for crashes all the way back to January 2019 to present. I'm not going to go through every single one of those because I'm sure you probably read those, but the one I really wanted to highlight was here we had recently, which was brought up by one of the residents on First Avenue on June 28th of this year, we had a distracted driver that actually left the roadway while eating and struck two vehicles in the driveway. So my big concern there, and I think the residents' concern as well, is safety. If there was a kid in the driveway, I just hate to think of what might have happened there. So I think all of these things, all of these incidents kind of demonstrate there's an issue there on First Avenue that staff feels really should be addressed. Former city manager had reached out to fire district personnel. They didn't see any issues with what we're proposing tonight. And so staff has basically come up with 4 different options for council to think about, to discuss about tonight, and to decide on. Staff does have a recommended option, And so I'll just kind of walk you through these. I recognize that this is a little bit longer of an RCA, but given the significance and importance of it, that's why it's a little bit longer. So option one, staff came up with implementing speed tables. So basically, the speed tables, there's two different kinds that we could implement there, or staff could implement there. There's one that is more costly, and those would be the concrete speed tables. Those are the large ones that are like, I think they're like 20 or 22 feet in length and are very gradual. And the cost ranges for the concrete speed tables that could be strategically positioned on First Avenue are somewhere in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. And those costs are mainly so high because of engineering related costs. On the other end of the spectrum, we could do something that is that costs much less. We're talking like in the $800 range of per speed table. Those would be ones that you could bolt into the ground and could be, removed in the future if council so desired to do that. The cheaper options, there are some drawbacks to those. One, I guess the good thing is they're much less than $10,000 to $15,000 for concrete. But the drawbacks are for the bolted ones. There's always the possibility of somebody coming along with tools and removing those themselves. There's also the possibility of a larger vehicle, loosening it up as it drives over and becoming detached. As well as, from what I understand and saw online, a lot of these are designed for speeds that are around 15 miles or less. And so anyway, I guess the big thing is the theft and the safety issue with the temporary bolt down ones. But it is an option, and it is something that we could try as staff if that's something that council chose to do. So that's your speed table option, option one. The second option is to partially restrict southbound access on First Avenue at Highway 20. So Adam, would you pull up Google Maps so I can kind of walk council through what we're talking about here? Basically, this would entail Am I on? Basically, this would entail putting some sort of what they call a pork chop or a concrete barrier right here that would not allow traffic to turn, if they're headed east, not to allow traffic to turn south on First Avenue. So it would block any southbound traffic on First Avenue. However, there would be it would allow right-hand turns only off of First Avenue. So basically, anyone that lives on First Avenue would have, access to go either north or south, but it would restrict traffic on First Avenue, and I think would probably make a significant difference. So that's basically what that option is. And I guess one of the reasons that staff is not recommending that one is because ultimately the residents on First Avenue really want to see the 6-month trial period and have it completely blocked off. Option 3 is going to be the staff option. And that one is simply a 6-month trial period just to see how this goes. And basically we would block First Avenue off right there, just slightly south of Clover Park. It would allow, if there was a long-term plan, it would allow the park to be accessed from First Avenue. We could create some parking spaces there and, develop that park further. But ultimately, if it's blocked off right there, it would not allow anyone to come in and access that off of Highway 20. The only access to First Avenue at that point would be off of Highway 228. Along with that option, let me see the mic again. Thank you. So one of the concerns was how long is it going to take people to travel around to Highway 228 or vice versa from 228 to First Avenue? So the total distance, and somebody on our traffic safety committee actually timed it and did it multiple times. So the total time that it would take to go from First Avenue all the way to the light and then all the way back around up 228 to First Avenue again would be a total of 45 seconds. And they did that both directions just to make sure that that was going to be about the same amount of time. And it ended up being 45 seconds. And so one of the reasons staff is choosing this option is, 45 seconds is not that much longer if we're talking about personal safety for people on First Avenue. Another thing that we would do with this is if council did choose to do this temporary 6-month block off, we want to gather data, hard data for you all so that we can show you if there's going to be any changes whatsoever to see if people are going to take alternate routes, because there are some alternate routes that people could potentially go through to get over to Highway 20. But I personally don't think that people are going to want to take those routes. But nonetheless, I want to gather that data. So we would put traffic counters down on Nandina Street right here to see if people are going to come down here and cut Nandina and go that way through Westwood over to Highway 20. Additionally, over this way to Evergreen Street. Go down. Right here, I would want to put a traffic counter over here to measure the data to see if people are going to jump through the neighborhood that way. So all of that to say, we would love to be able to do this and to come back with some actual hard data for you all to see what kind of changes actually took place if and when we did this. So I think, and then the final option would be for council to do nothing on it and just kind of leave it as it is. So, so there you have it. That is, those are your options, and I'm happy to answer any questions or also to open it up to council to kind of discuss about these options.
I had a few questions, but it's more to the committee liaisons that are on the Traffic and Safety Committee, Councilor Richards and Councilor Thorstad. Any feedback from what committee meetings that were discussing these matters?
Oh, Josh would know more.
I think Chief has covered most of it. And some people on the committee were for it and against it. But mostly they want to close it.
Good to know.
And Mayor, I'll just note, all of you should have in front of you also a petition that was submitted by the chair of that committee, Frank Gallagher, from residents of the area.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. So, knowing human behavior of our community, because I have tried to block off parking lots with cones before and they drove around them. When we talk about closing off from Highway 20, what are you going to use? Are you going to use a solid cement barriers for both lanes? Because I think that's what's going to be needed.
Yeah, I think so. The pork chop idea, I have traditionally seen those be cement actual, they're like raised up barriers. Staff would have to research it and find out what would be the best option to use there, but it would be something that would not allow traffic to turn south down Highway 2 or south down first towards 228. And I do actually agree with you, because one of the concerns that I have about that particular one where there's the right-hand turn only is this is, you're right. human behavior. I can just, out of the number of times that I have worked graveyard over the years, I've seen people just go around things and do things that they shouldn't do. And so one of my fears with that option is seeing somebody at dark 30 in the morning turn south and go around the barrier, turn south and go down First Avenue, and then you've got some guy, riding a bike without his light on that gets hit and is seriously injured. And so that is actually one of my concerns for that one. So yes.
So there are raised barrier that's detached, that's just cement. Mr. Springman, our city has those. Is that something that could be placed there to literally stop traffic flow completely?
Well, I think we'd have to look at it. We're coming off the highway. I think we'd probably have to approach ODOT a little bit because we are within their right of way. And so that I'd have to comply with things like that. We do have concrete barriers. We also have water-filled barriers. So it really comes down to, I think, our research and what we decide to do. But I think we're gonna have to take in consideration of the vehicles that are wanting to come off that highway as well and get some approval through ODOT as well.
Okay, because Chief Ogden was talking about on the south side of Clover Park, putting them that far in. On the other end, to let people know that is no longer through, how would we be able to address that issue? Because otherwise, you're gonna have
I think we would have to, staff would have to put our heads together and come up with a plan to communicate that and, have the appropriate signage. And then also, I think one of the best things that we could do if this was something that council was interested in is to push this out, on social media and to communicate and put article in the paper and, just to get that out there and to try to get people aware of what we are doing as much as we can. Now, we're not going to be able to hit, everyone because there's going to be, traveling. There's going to be like, I think it was Mr. Parker said that there's, people that are going to be coming through there and Google's going to take them, to First Avenue. And, so we can do as much as we possibly can, but yeah, we're not going to be able to hit everyone. So.
Well, I think coming northbound, they're going to get so far, and if there's a reminder,
correct,
veer off.
Yeah.
But since that's not really beneficial, that will affect them after the first or second time. But coming off of Highway 20, if you don't have a significant barrier, they can drive around it.
Yeah.
And it needs to be
It's a
something that
concern.
can't be stolen or destroyed.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may, some of us will remember when Jeff Lynn was here, our chief, and they did one of the same thing you folks did on First Avenue. And the speed for those folks in those days were a half a dozen that were speeding on First Avenue. And what in the heck happened then? Because, we didn't have that problem. Now, another thing we did, we only parked on one side. Now we park on both. And I think that did slow some down. Maybe it didn't as much as I think. I've been on that road many, many, many times, never saw a commercial vehicle there, except maybe a year and a half ago. But that's beside the point. And I want to let everybody know, ODOT doesn't control that. That's not their business. That's on one of our streets. But I'm not sure how I want to have it do this. I'm not sold on that. But the people that want to do it, I guess they probably should have a shot at doing it. And if we have to, if we do block that off, then we should have lights and stuff so that they can't, they know that's coming. But for me to go from where I live down to 228 or 20 is nothing to me. It's nothing to me. Is it a little quicker for me maybe to go down First Avenue? Yeah, I don't care. I don't.
I have to say that I drive by that area a lot, and I see box trucks coming out of that road often. I also have almost been hit trying to turn up Osage with people coming out onto First Avenue onto Highway 20 because they do not see people that are trying to get into the turn lane. So I think that traffic coming out of that end of First Avenue can be dangerous, but I see a lot of commercial vehicles on that road.
Madam Mayor, if I will, one more time. The thing I would be concerned about, everybody off of Nandina that's up toward the Elks Lodge, where are they going to have to get out? They're going to come down that real steep road, like we had the ice. Remember that? That would be a mess, but that would be one concern I would have.
Oh, Madam Mayor, also had concern expressed by ODOT regarding, going on 228 down to Highway, 228 to Highway 20, because of Long Street merging there with 228. There's times of the day where they've said that traffic is backed up, and this will only back it up that much further. So there's a concern with, and there's been no study done for that. I've been proponent of speed tables. A lot of communities have speed tables. They seem to work. I've not seen any problem with speed tables, but I would have concerns about closing First Avenue down. There's not been a full study done, not only from ODOT, but from others, entities.
Well, I think that would be the potential to closing it down temporary was to get that study information. I also heard from ODOT that they'd be for closing down that end of First Avenue. So I think that it just depends on who we're asking. But any other counselors, Counselor Sanchez or?
Madam Mayor, I'm not for killing children by any means. I just want to make that clear when it came to First Avenue, but I'm also opposed to any means or options that are up here to close it down or anything like that. Because I don't like getting phone calls till 11 at night about something like this, and that seems to be happening lately. No.
Counselor Sanchez or Thorstad, do you have any comments?
Madam Mayor, if I may, I thank everybody for coming in and sharing your concerns about First Avenue. We've also heard concerns about stop signs being implemented without studies, without the full scope of everything, putting the cart before the horse. Unfortunately, we've had people that lived on First Avenue for 15, 20 years where nothing has been done. I feel like what's best for the community at this time, and I don't know how feasible it is, but we need some sort of traffic impact statement study, some sort of something to see what it's going to cause. I also am for the speed humps or the speed tables. I'm not for completely closing it down because not only is it First Avenue residents, it's owned by the community, and a lot of community folks use that as well. I myself have seen semi trucks not notified by Google try to turn down First Avenue and literally back up into Highway 20 into oncoming traffic to try to get through where they aren't supposed to go and go the proper way. So not only is it inconvenience for First Avenue, there's safety issues on Highway 20. If there's an accident on Pleasant Valley or construction on Pleasant Valley, sometimes that's so backed up all the way you can only get through town through First Avenue. If we close First Avenue, we're going to divert traffic to other residents in our community, and I think we're still putting the cart before the horse. We need some sort of study before we go shutting things down.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
I would not be opposed to the temporary closure of First Avenue and with a review in 4 months as to whether or not that's working.
So staff, there's been a couple of mentions about a traffic study. How can a traffic study be done if traffic is not diverted? If we don't know what, like we know that there's 15,000 vehicles a week going on this street.
Well, that's what you pay somebody to do. And I think that it has to be outside of the city staff because we just heard that we implemented stop signs prematurely without having all the information and made it worse. So I don't want to get into that sort of situation again with First Avenue. We don't know. So.
Okay. We need.
So if I may, I live on Long Street and I have had 3 cats hit, a dog hit, people speed down there all the time. If I could shut down Long Street, I would, because I don't like traffic down there. That's the reality of the situation. I don't know what else to say.
You know, we need to keep. Okay, we need to keep order and maintain order. I need.
Excuse me.
No.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion I would like to approve a 6-month trial period for the closure of First Avenue. I would, however, like to make that closure complete coming off Highway 20. And then as a council, we need to review it in 4 months.
I will second that motion. Cecily, please call for a vote.
Counselor Richards.
No.
Counselor Sanchez.
No.
Counselor Thorstad.
No.
Counselor Trask.
No.
President Pro Tem Mahler. Mayor Coleman.
Yes.
Counselor Gorley.
Yes.
Okay, that motion has failed. Is there another motion to address anything with First Avenue?
I would love to make a motion to purchase temporary speed humps and have them installed and see how that works.
I'll second that.
Hang on, we're not to that point.
We have a motion and a second. I would like to just express my concern regarding putting people's convenience over other people's safety. I think that's why we need to be, we need to maintain order in this meeting. But I think that's why we also need to hear, which we will when discuss, the stop signs further, is because people's convenience should not outweigh safety. I'm also concerned because what I know of Sweet Home and what was first impressive to me when I moved to Sweet Home so many years ago was how the community cares for each other, how they put themselves on the line for each other when they're in need. And I just would like to make sure that we continue to see that kind of behavior in our community. We have a great community. Sweet Home is a wonderful community, and obviously people care deeply about situations here. And to care more about other people than about our own convenience, I think is important. We do have a motion and a second on the table for temporary speed tables.
Counselor Sanchez.
Yes.
Counselor Thorstad.
Yes.
Counselor Trask.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Mahler.
Yes.
Mayor Coleman.
No.
Counselor Gorley.
No.
Counselor Richards.
Yep.
Let the record show that we have 5 ayes and 2 nays to approve temporary speed tables. I have a question regarding the temporary speed tables. Do we know where they would be placed and how wide are temporary speed tables?
Staff would have to come back and we would have to research that, because if we're going to do that, we want to, get the best ones that we can for the price that they are, that have the greatest impact for that residential areas.
Will be the hardest to steal.
Correct.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Is there any will on the council to make a motion to limit commercial vehicle traffic on that road
Well, there's already a sign.
for commercial vehicles, and they're still,
There-
and so they're still using it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
understand.
So I don't know about that, but okay, we can't go back and forth. Is there a way to contact Google? Because I think that you can reach out to Google.
Yes, staff can look into that and certainly do everything we can to make that happen.
Okay. And is there potential signage doesn't stop people? We know that.
It has not been, according to the testimony that we've received tonight.
Correct.
So, Madam Mayor, may I say something?
Okay. We need quiet in the crowd so that we can continue with the meeting. Counselor Sanchez, you had a comment?
Commercial motor vehicle have truck routes, and you can say no commercial motor vehicles through ODOT motor carrier. And so I don't know why we're not also communicating with the motor carrier transportation division that we do not want commercial vehicles down First Avenue, not only Google.
Madam Mayor, that sign, there is a sign there, I think, on both ends, but it's not very big. It's not very big. I don't know if that would help us to put one larger than that. I don't know. But they definitely shouldn't be on there. That's for sure.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Commercial motor vehicle drivers look at ODOT and they tell us where we can and can't go based upon truck routes. So that's what we're normally looking at, like in Lebanon outside of town. It says no through trucks. It says on ODOT, you can't go that way. So that's what commercial motor vehicle drivers look at.
Okay, moving on. Oh. Frank, I will let you approach. Frank is the chairperson of the Traffic and Safety Committee, and that's why I'm allowing him to approach on regards to this topic.
Thank you. Fine.
Just remember name and address for the record.
I'm Frank Gallagher. I live 1420 First Avenue. I've lived on that street for 28 years. I also chair traffic safety. We voted to bring a proposal to the council for a temporary closure on First Avenue. You've heard all the statistics, the numbers, 50,000 vehicles a month, 12,000 a week, 1,800 a day. I think that the most important question here that begs to be answered is, what is more important, the convenience of these people or the life of the child? Your decision, what you decide to do with this street, is going to answer that question. I can only reiterate what everybody else has said. There's an abundance of traffic. There shouldn't be commercial vehicles on there. The street is unsafe, period. And it's time that something is done about it. I was on traffic safety years ago. No truck signs were an issue then. They have not been moved. As I drive a motorhome, which is as big as a semi, you do not see those signs until you're actually making the turn to your committed. So you either know that you can't go on that street or you obey the signs, and that's not happening. I can't reiterate enough the information that's already been put out here. And I thank you for your time.
But could I ask a question?
Yes.
Could I ask a question for you?
Yes.
Who picked the place to put these signs? Who picked the ones to put on 47 or on Long Street at 47th?
That was brought before the Traffic Safety Committee. All we did was vote to make a recommendation that signs were approved.
We're not-
And that came to the council.
That's a point of order. We're not talking about stop signs right now. We're on
That's good.
First
Thank you.
Avenue.
Right.
So thank you, Frank, for
You're
coming
welcome.
forward.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Me, we need to maintain order of this meeting, and I would recommend if any citizens have questions of counselors, please feel free to ask them when the meeting is done. Okay. So moving on to the next item on our agenda is appointing a city attorney.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor and councilors. So what you have before you tonight is a RCA concerning the appointment of the next city attorney. Our current city attorney, Robert Snyder, has indicated his intent to retire and has been working under a contract extension while City Council has been deliberating on appointing a new city attorney to replace him. As you're well aware, City Charter requires us to have a city attorney in place, and that is why we are here tonight bringing this before you. Over the past few months, we've gone through a process, including 2 RFPs and job postings for the city attorney position, and we've received a total of 4 responses. Council met in a executive session on July 9th, and after a review of the applicants, in that session, it was determined that Blair Larson would be selected to move on in the process, pending his admittance to the Oregon State Bar. He has taken that test, and he is currently waiting for results. The results of that unfortunately, it takes 6 weeks for those results. When we looked into the comps for his compensation package, we noted that it was very, very, very reasonable compared to the other applicants. So financially, this decision is covered within the budget. In the interim, Blair will continue in his current role as Community Economic Development Director while shadowing our current city attorney, Robert Snyder. And once he would be in the city attorney role, he would be expected to work 30 hours weekly to support city council, municipal court, and city staff. So the options before you they're pretty straightforward. One is do nothing, two, amend the resolution, and three, to approve it. And I'm
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
although we met and we discussed the potential hiring of this person, this candidate for employment, we have not had a conversation in executive session regarding an employment agreement. And so I would like to make a motion that we table this discussion until we meet as a council to discuss an employment agreement. Table it to our next meeting pending that executive session.
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Cecily, please call for a vote.
Counselor Thorstad,
The motion is to table this decision until we've had an executive session regarding a contract.
Yes.
Counselor Trask,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Mueller, Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Gorley,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
No.
Counselor Sanchez.
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 6 ayes and 1 nay to table this into the next council meeting until we can get an executive session. Are all of the counselors available for an executive session before the next council meeting?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Yes.
Do I want to say yes?
Yes.
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 Next item on the agenda, reports of committees. Are there any reports from committees that you are a liaison for? Okay. No reports. Reports of city officials. City managers report.
Yes, Madam Mayor and City Council. I just want to say thank you to our incredible staff and all of the hard work that has been taking place throughout the city in this interim transition. I am so thankful for their professionalism. I'm so thankful for the team that I have that has just welcomed me and helped me get adjusted to this new position. And I just wanted to say thank you for everything that staff is doing. They're just absolutely wonderful. One of the things I wanted to make you all aware of is we had a City Hall cleanup day next door. If you get the opportunity, you should go over next door and see all of the stuff that was moved out of the room just to the east in preparation to have CSC come in there and start providing services in our community. So we were super excited about that. I am so thankful to City Hall staff that helped move all of that stuff. We moved a ton of file cabinets and a ton of files into a space over here in City Hall. Public Works, if we did not have them here helping us, it would have taken us so much longer. They were the true muscle behind all of that movement that day, but kudos to you guys for doing that. I know that council had brought up the food truck ordinance at the last meeting. I just wanted you to know that staff was working on that, and we will bring that back to you on September 10th at our next meeting. Green Peter Drawdown, we do believe that we will have some sort of an update at our next council meeting, so stay tuned there. Santiam Feed Store, we're excited to say that we did take possession of that store, fulfilling, at least in part, some of the council goals for property acquisition. One of the things I can say is that we do know that it needs a new roof, so we're looking at quotes for that at this point. So that's your update for the feed store. The Wellness Center. So with Ridgeway Health moving into the Old City Hall to kick off our Wellness Center, I know that there has been some concerns that I've heard in the community about mold at the location. And I'm excited to say we did do testing for mold at that location. There was some mold located upstairs and downstairs. In the downstairs portion, it was the nasty kind of mold. The upstairs portion that Ridgeway was not using was not the nasty kind of mold. Nonetheless, they remediated that mold and the samples came back clear. So we're excited about that. We're in a structurally safe building and we're working with Ridgeway at this time to meet their operational needs. And so we're really excited to see the Wellness Center get kicked off there. I think the next thing I would like to just mention to our community is don't forget we have the Harvest Festival coming up Saturday, October 5th. If you have not been to the Harvest Festival, it is a great community event, and I encourage everyone, invite your family, invite your friends. Would love to see you there. And I think that's it for the city manager report.
Thank you. The mayor's report, this could have fallen underneath committee reports as well, but we had a successful mural grant application. The Siletz tribe granted the city of Sweet Home $6,000 to cover a mural in our community. We've had the Arts and Culture Committee, which reviewed submissions of murals, and there were 2 people that rose to the top, and we now have 2 grants to cover those 2 murals. So be watching for those come about. Also, I just want to say, Ked, good work. I read your report and the agenda, and I appreciate the things that are coming forward from you guys, and especially the park progress. We've received grants there again. And I wanted to also say the Community Health Committee also put on a health fair on August 17th. I was unable to attend, but I heard it went very well that day. And so I just want to thank them for doing that for our community, and look forward to future events. Moving on to the next item on our agenda is department director reports. And there are 2 in there. There's one from Ked and there's also one from the police chief. If you have any questions, feel free to ask of the directors regarding those.
From the PD side of things, I was interesting stats this month. I saw that our citations for the Chapter 811 Rules of the Road increased 42.9% from June to July of this year. So that was pretty neat to see, given that that's a focus that we've had over this last season at the PD. DUI citations, there was a 700% increase in DUI citations from June to July of this year. So I don't know if that had anything to do with the Jamboree, but maybe.
At least you're catching them.
Yes. So person crimes were up about 12%. I don't know why. Year to date, they're up 12%. Property crimes, I always love to see when property crimes go down because they're so hard sometimes to solve those, but they have decreased 23.97% year to date compared to this time last year. So that is pretty darn cool. So there you have it from the PD.
Thank you. Any questions of council?
Not a question, Madam Mayor, but I should have reported during committee reports, and thank you for giving council time to do good at the order. There were 500 snow cones given away at the health fair, and that's a really good indicator of people having a good time, and so that's really exciting. The second thing is the staff, and for this is about the Arts Committee. The staff and committee members have had a long discussion at different times about different forms of art in our community. And ODOT has been resistant to some forms, but we have been given the go-ahead to do a project in conjunction with the welding department at the high school. And we've met with the welding teacher there, and they have some lovely machinery that cut out fish. And so our mayor will be working with that department. And so going down ODOT, as our students at the high school cut out different fish, there will be fish showing up that are about 2 foot long and about 2 foot high down our medium strip around our flowers. And I think that's a really good project for the students at our high school to participate and have pride in our community. And it's something unique we've never had before. And I'm really excited to see that moving forward. It just needed to fit in the curriculum. And I'm really grateful that Mr. Hart is willing to do that and work with the kids doing that. And the mayor being able to, I guess they have hundreds of kinds of fish that we can work with. and it's very exciting. And that, as soon as we start getting fish from them, they will start being put in the ground. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that update. Any other council business for the good of the order?
Oh, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
I just want to say I support getting rid of the stop signs that are at 47th there. And I don't know if we ever did go back to that or not. 'cause I
This
know-
is the time to do so.
Okay,
So
perfect,
thank you for
perfect. Yeah,
bringing
I
it
just want to say I'll make a motion to bring that back to vote on it
Okay.
again.
Okay, so to make a motion, we say we'd like to add it to the next agenda.
I'd like
so
to
that
add it to
we-
the next agenda
Okay,
then.
we can have a consensus regarding that.
Yes.
Counselors, all good on that. Please add that stop sign to the next agenda, and we can make that make a public notice about that. Any other council business for the good of the order?
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes, you may.
So I just want to say thank you to the chief for all the hard work that you've done as our interim city manager pro tem.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's been a whirlwind of excitement. I also want to say thank you for the report on the Wellness Center for Dr. Sam and Ridgeway Health. I'm incredibly thankful that they get to still continue to be a part of our community, and the building essentially has a clean bill of health as well. I just want to ask a question. I'm hearing things in the community about the Facebook page, and I was wondering if we could talk about that, if that's solely our only way of communication, if we're limiting comments, how that affects the algorithms, if we're going to continue to keep comments off, can we find another way to communicate, such as newsletter in the utility billing, so people are aware, because I know that a lot of information gets shared on Facebook, and when we limit comments, we affect the algorithms and it doesn't get reached like it should to inform the community of what's going on in the city. So that's something that I'm concerned about.
Yeah. So
So yeah, I can address that. So one of the reasons that the comments have been turned off on the city Facebook pages prior to Kelsey leaving is the main reason is it has taken up a lot of staff time to manage that. And so I know that Adam has been wonderful putting out the information, but it has really taken up a lot of his time. And I can't remember the name of the organization that we're a part of or were members of, but one of their suggestions, or not even a suggestion, like you should actually do this, is turn off the comments just for that reason. So one of the things that, and you're not the first that has brought that up, and one of the things that I have been telling people regarding our Facebook posts, whether at the PD or citywide, is you have the opportunity and a platform to push that out and to share that on your own pages, whether that be, you know, in a community forum or just on your own personal page itself. And that way, people can comment and respond to that. The part that was taking up the staff time was there was so many comments on there that were just nasty and derogatory, and I just that's not Sweet Home, and we don't want to create I guess a breeding ground for that kind of stuff. So if people want to do that on their own personal stuff, do that on your own personal page, but we don't want to have to manage that. So that's why we turned off the comments.
I think also regarding information coming from the city, I think it's best to keep things professional. And if people have access to Facebook, they can have access to emails and reach out to City Hall, phone calls, reach out in the appropriate professional manner.
And one of the concerns that I have had as well is once city officials start interacting with those comments, particularly staff, I don't want to see us get into a situation where all of a sudden we find ourselves being sued in court for something. And that eliminates that. You know, people can have their opinion. We respect that. And we encourage people to share that. And and talk about those things, but for staff to manage that, that is why we shut those off.
We are limited in staff right now. We have some holes, so I think that keep managing our staff time is really important to do that well. So thank you. Any other council business for the good of the order?
Yeah, if I may, so limited communication on the Facebook page. I understand your reasonings and I support that. However, we've been told that that's one of our main avenues of communication. So if we're going to remove that, because I know that it's driven by algorithms and participation, are we going to then add something else in lieu of that so we can get our message to the community members? I realize that we could all share on our own, but when it's not put in our feed because there's no interactions, people don't see what's happening. So my only concern is lack of information because there's no participation with the algorithms of Facebook. Can we send out a newsletter in the utility billing monthly?
Yeah, I think that that is something I can bring to staff and we'll discuss that. And it does seem like a reasonable option to do.
Thank you.
We would need to know how much that would cost the city and how effective that would be. I think that would be important because the cost of mail these days, it's important to have communication, but as a council, before we do that, I think we should discuss weight and what the added costs of that would be.
And my understanding is we have not moved to that option in the past because it was determined to be prohibitively expensive. And unfortunately, with the migration to the online bill pay, those that have opted into a fully electronic version, we don't have the option to attach a newsletter. So those that have migrated to have the auto pay will not receive that information. We'd have to do a separate mailer to those addresses.
So as it stands now, they're not receiving communication via Facebook because we've prohibited comments and algorithms to put it into their feed. So I guess I don't really see that that's that big of a deal if we could still get some communication out to most. I would love if we could research the cost. I don't necessarily believe that it's that much more of a cost to put something on the backside or something as an insert or whatever to communicate more broadly than we are.
Yes, we can definitely price that out for you.
Any other council business for the good
Madam
of the
Mayor,
order?
we had a discussion once a while back about coming to meetings, and the two that we have monthly is not all the meetings that we have. And I think that you should be there for those meetings. And if you can't, then we need to do something in my opinion, we have a lot of meetings. And if you can't make those meetings, then you're not doing what you need to be a counselor for. So I'd like to talk about how we could work that out, possibly before our next council meeting on the 10th or whatever day that is, if that would be okay.
Are you requesting as an executive session?
No.
Okay.
We can just have it out at a regular meeting. I don't care about that.
Okay.
Oh, we can make it an executive session if that would be better.
I don't think it would fall under an appropriate ORS for that. So let's connect after the meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I just want to say not all of us are retired and can sit at home all day like
Oh,
him.
This is council business for the good of the order. So I'm going to wrap this meeting up at 7:48 p.m.